recording. So again, I work for DEED, that's Department of Employment and Economic Development. I work in the Office of the Small Business and Innovation. We have our partners that we do this meeting with. It's a monthly meeting. Our partners are the Better Business Bureau, the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, the Small Business Administration on the federal level, and the Small Business Development Centers, which partners with and sponsored by the SBA and the state of Minnesota. We are glad to have everybody here on another beautiful day outside in the great state of Minnesota that has suddenly flipped a switch to summer. I'm glad to have everybody here. Oh, we popped from 80 people to 120 people. So with no further ado, let's, if everyone can see curtains. And this is Ian Karlstrom. And with no further ado, Ian, if I can find you in the audience here, I will put the spotlight on you. See if I can do that. I'm going to exit my spotlight. And I will see if, well, I can't put the spotlight on you, but I am just going to toss it over to you. How about that?
That works for me, Mark. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen shared. Can you see my screen all right?
It is coming. It is there. I can see it. Anybody else? Oh, tons of thumbs up. Thumbs up. Great.
Well, thanks for having me, Mark. My name is Ian Karlstrom. I'm the director for the West Central Minnesota SBDC. We're going to be talking about AI today, specifically for Minnesota small businesses. And since this is a recording and this is an ever-evolving topic, today is May 13th, 2025. There's a lot of great info out there about AI. You don't have to go too far to find a workshop or a webinar or a podcast. So I'd always encourage people to keep your finger on the pulse of this ever-evolving thing. We wanted to take this time now today to share with you what we've learned, where we've been, some real-life feedback from the audience, especially around West Central and rural Minnesota, and share some of those things that we think that you should know today beyond just what you can find online. I'll certainly answer any questions you have if you want to throw them in the chat, or else we can address questions at the end too. So with that, I'll start by sharing a quick SBDC plug, because AI is just one of the many things that SBDC does to support small businesses. We work with both startups and existing businesses through the life of your business. We've got 9 regions here in Minnesota covering every county of the state. So please do reach out to the SBDC nearest you for more information. So let's talk about where it all started for our SBDC. AI has been around now as we know it for a couple of years with generative AI, but about 6 months ago, it was around October of last year, we launched our online AI resource lab. What we have, feel free to grab a screenshot or scan the QR code. Basically what this is it starts out with a 3-video boot camp. You can get through all videos in about 30 minutes. The first video is demystifying AI. You know, with technology, we didn't get here overnight. So this talks about kind of how we got where we are. The second video introduces generative AI and talks about what is, you know, machine learning and large language models and things like that. Just giving entrepreneurs the snapshot that you need to hit the ground running with this stuff. And then that third video talks about getting the most of AI. So sharing tips, tricks, and best practices for actually using this technology well. And then from there, we've built out 9 pre-built GPTs that you can experiment with, things like writing a business plan or using AI for marketing or HR. We even have a chatbot that's specifically referenced to Minnesota, official Minnesota websites and information for like how to start a business here in Minnesota. So we wanted to give entrepreneurs tools that they can experiment with and build confidence. And then we've started to add downloadable content as well. So we're going to reference this again throughout this presentation, but feel free to check that out. From there, over the past 6 months or so, we went out into about a dozen communities and did focus groups. which were live AI demonstrations where we answered people's questions and we really got the finger on the pulse of where our community was with AI. So that, as we're developing training, we're meeting people where they're at. And what we found was that the majority of people now, this curve of innovation kind of people move along here. So some of this data might be old, but what we found was that the majority of people had little to no experience using AI. 20% of people had never even used AI, generative AI, because I would argue most of us are using AI daily, even if we don't know it. But anyways, only 34% of people had only tried it once or twice. 37% of people were somewhat familiar, and only 9% of people felt truly comfortable. 2% of people were daily AI users. And so this chart on top kind of shows where people were along this curve of innovation. And if we add the actual curve of innovation, we can see that people are still in that late adopter, late majority area. I expect that, as this technology is more readily available, as time moves on, we're going to get more people towards the middle of that curve. But what we're finding as far as what people are using it for follows this curve. And so in the beginning, we found that the number one use case, most people are already using AI for marketing and social media. How to write a better post, for example. And then as people continue to explore, they start writing and editing with AI, writing emails, blog posts, make this sound more friendly or make this sound funnier. And then the more people get exposed, they start experimenting and dabbling with different AI platforms or different uses, pushing AI to the limits to see what it's capable of. And then as people are much more familiar or, getting to that somewhat familiar or feeling more truly comfortable, then we start seeing those business and productivity use cases. And finally, for the people that are real experts at this stuff, or if I even say the word expert, but using AI for more creative, niche, and miscellaneous uses. With that said, we also asked people what they wanted to learn more about regarding AI. And so for the other organizations in this call who might be offering AI training, this might be relevant to you. 21% of people said that they wanted to learn more about using AI for marketing and customer engagement. 16% of people wanted to use AI for financial planning and budgeting. Numbers aren't everyone's strong suit, so how can AI help with that, right? And then 13% of people said industry-specific tools. So these are things like QuickBooks and Salesforce. They're adding AI features to this, and people want to learn how to use those specific features so they can use their existing tech stack well. From there, people wanted to also learn about prompting and data security and privacy. And then as we get into people feeling more comfortable using AI, they wanted to figure out how to integrate AI with their existing tech stacks, getting different apps that they're already using to talk to other apps, even streamlining operations like scheduling and inventory management. We also got some feedback that people want to learn about customer service. This one surprises me that it's so low, but the reality is we've had customer service chatbots for a long time now, and in the beginning they didn't work that well. And so this left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. But as AI has become better, stronger, and faster, we're rebuilding trust from a customer service standpoint. So not all customer service bots stink anymore. And then finally, of course, people want to learn about fact checking and hallucinations. And so we really wanted to address some of these things to teach people how to use AI well. So with that said, the vast majority of people really just wanted more time, more hands-on guided practice, and more examples and use cases with AI. Basically, supervised show and tell, just trying it out more, getting more experience with it. So as with any technology, the best time to start was yesterday, but the next best time is now. And so at the SBDC, we've broken down this adoption journey into 4 different phases, from awareness all the way through integration. And we have a whole packet on our AI resource lab with like a page on each of those. But here's just a quick snapshot of each of each step along that phase. So first is awareness. I've heard about AI, but I have no idea where to start. And that's where a lot of people are. And for some people, I've heard about AI, but I don't want to start yet. I'm not ready. And that's okay. We're not twisting anyone's arm here. As people get a little bit more comfortable, the next phase is consideration. So I'm curious about AI, but I don't know which tool to pick. Our AI adaption guide kind of addresses this and gives you one little thing that you can do to overcome that. There's just so many tools out there. It's hard to pick the right one, right? As you get more comfortable, you're starting to adopt it. You know, maybe you've picked your favorite tool, ChatGPT or whatever it is, and AI is helping your business, but it's not quite fully integrated yet. So you're maybe using it for one or two things here and there, but there's still opportunity. And that brings us to that final phase, which is integration, where AI can become a part of your core business, and this might include things like measuring ROI or having feedback loops to make sure that the AI grows and evolves with your business. So I invite you guys all to check that out. And the whole point of this is everything about AI is individualized. It's a customized journey. There's no two users alike, and we encourage you to find what works for you. Keep in mind that you are the talent. You are the advantage. AI is just the tool. AI doesn't necessarily make businesses better or better businesses. Entrepreneurs do. And just like back in the pandemic, when we had to be agile and take advantage of the resources and pivot and shift gears, you know, the small businesses that adapt with AI, with purpose and ownership, they will build better, faster, and stronger. People always ask me, will AI replace me? Well, I mean, the short answer is yes. Robots and AI have already replaced people, but my answer is that AI is not here to replace you today, but somebody using AI might replace you. And that could be you too. But don't become an AI junkie. Be a research junkie, be a learning junkie, be a writing junkie, because AI can help you with that stuff. But don't just chase this shiny new thing that is AI and forget about your actual business goals. So that's my advice there. I like to start out talking about some of the best ways to start using AI well. And these are my top 3 recommendations. Number 1 is to use AI like a search engine because frankly, I've found it to be easier to get what I want, especially when I can't find it on Google for some reason. I type it into ChatGPT and I can find it pretty quickly. So I'm trying to coin the phrase, instead of Google it, I chat that. I just go to ChatGPT and it's really easy to find what I want. And the nice thing about it is it gives you low risk experience or practice using this, so you can kind of see how AI thinks, see how it reasons, see how it hallucinates, and see how it handles follow-up prompts or follow-up questions. From there, that could be an everyday thing. You know, we're using Google every day. You could use AI for that too. From there, use AI as a starter for tasks that you already know how to do. So writing the first drafts of newsletters, social media posts, checklists, frequently asked questions, stuff that you're already familiar with, because you know the content, you can catch those hallucinations, you can catch those mistakes. This is actually how I got into AI. I uploaded our SBDC operations manual, so I didn't have to scour 150 pages to find the thing I wanted. I could just ask AI what it needed to be. Of course, I gave my own mental check of privacy and security and all that before I uploaded it, but it was public document anyway, so there wasn't a real threat there. From there, use AI to actually learn. Ask it, what am I overlooking? What else should I know? Like, really collaborate with AI. A lot of people we found use AI for marketing to write a better social media post, but those people aren't marketing experts. But if you ask the right questions, AI can be your marketing expert. So instead of just writing one social media post, have AI help design an entire social media campaign or a holistic, comprehensive marketing strategy for your company, not just one post, right? So the takeaway here is start with what you know, experiment, push it to its limits just to see how it acts, and finally use AI to show you what you didn't even know that you didn't know, to really use it as a learning mechanism. Um, Having success with AI does require a bit of a mindset shift for some people, treating AI as a team member, not just a magic wand. It doesn't read minds, neither does your employees, right? But it can handle brain dumps pretty well. So sometimes I'll just open ChatGPT and talk into the microphone until I can't think of anything else to say, and I say, help me make sense of this. And then I prompt it to do the thing I want it to do. But that brain dump really built the context so it knows exactly what I'm asking for. And we do the same thing in conversations with people too. So a quick example is like you can ask ChatGPT or AI to make you a flyer, but it doesn't know what kind of flyer or any details. So saying things like create me a flyer for my small town bakery for a spring festival event targeting families with playful language, things like that really help dial in what you want. I see a quick question in the chat. How do you know if you don't know, right? Well, part of that is just asking, what am I missing here? What else should I know? Or what would an expert ask at this point, right? Or sometimes if I'm prompting, I like to use chain of thought prompts. So sometimes I'll just pause and say, okay, AI, how are we doing? Are we on track or off track? What are our next steps? Things like that that really help a curious mind stay on track. So good prompting is all about good communication. You don't get good AI results by typing one fancy prompt and just getting done with it. You get good results by managing AI like a teammate. So people will always ask me, do you have a prompt for that? And the short answer is no, because we use NLP, not HTML. NLP stands for natural language processing, which is the same as communication. It's no code programming. If you want AI to write you HTML code, it can do that, but that's not the point. But if you've ever hired somebody, trained a new employee, delegated a task, then you already know how to use AI. It's just conversational. And you don't give your newest employee a tour of the company, make introductions, show them their desk, and then immediately ask them for a sales report. And you wouldn't do that with AI either. It needs clear direction, clear goals, real communication. So it's much like managing a person. I wanted to throw out there a quick responsibility reminder. Own your outputs and be respectful. AI isn't here to make you lazy. It certainly can if you let it, but it's here to make you better. And if you blindly copy and paste AI work, like it shows, other people can see it, right? And it's on you if you write an offensive email and forget to proofread it, or if you make a mistake. You can't just blame AI for that because we're all responsible for our own work. And so review the work, revise the work, pause before you click send, put your voice into everything AI touches. And like, let's just say you're in a tense situation responding to emails and you're having AI help you write a friendlier email. A lot of times before AI, we might write that email 2 or 3 times, maybe sleep on it, and really think through what our email would like to say. AI can help speed up that process, but your emotions are still there. So maybe sleep on it still. Even if you have the perfect email, maybe just sleep on it and send it tomorrow if time permits, right? And then lastly on this slide, like please don't record people without their consent. If you get a new device that's AI activated, don't just start recording people blindly. Let people know, give those disclaimers. Don't claim AI work as your own, all that stuff. I want to talk quickly about shadow AI. Is one organizational risk for using AI? Because know it or not, somebody in your business is already using AI. And shadow AI comes from this concept of shadow IT. So if you're familiar with that, it's much the same. But it's basically this, is employees using free versions of stuff or unapproved tools or just bad practices for what information they're putting in that could leak data or create liability for your company. And the solution to this isn't to ban AI. It's to lead AI use with purpose. And I like to start with a simple bottom-up approach, which is just simply asking your staff, how are you using AI today? So before you do executive level top-down policy on AI, you might want to just pause and ask the people, the boots on the ground, how are you using AI? What difference does it make? And if you could lead policies, what advice would you give to the executives of this company? And really make it a collaborative approach. And also keep in mind, build for the long game. Entrepreneurs wear too many hats, from marketing to HR to finance. And instead of juggling all those hats, AI can help with custom chats. And the longer you keep these up, the more they understand and learn your voice, the more they understand your policies and your frequently asked questions or your workflows. So within ChatGPT or other AI platforms, they build a memory of you, the user. So if I ask my chat a question and you ask it the same question, we're probably going to get different responses because it has different memories of who we are. And they also have a micro memory within each chat, just like you and I do, so that conversationally it stays on track. So I recommend to people, if you're using it as a search engine, for example, you can delete those temporary chats and kind of clean up your history, but do keep and reuse and keep those core chats, just like core memories, growing over time, and it'll really help build a comprehensive thought partner with you in your business. And the last thing, for us, b- kind of building on our approach is, we had the AI resource lab, and then we did these live sessions to kind of figure out what people wanted. And our next step is an AI conference where we're really going to do hands-on facilitated build sessions, building your own GPTs, really showing what AI is capable of for small businesses. So if you're interested, we do have tickets on sale for that. But that's kind of all I had for my presentation. Happy to take questions or whatever people have.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. That is a ton of information. Do you have, like, off the top of your head, an example of someone coming into you and being able to use that tool on a hands-on example?
Yeah, so just the other day, I was working with a business owner who helps their clients on the digital marketing side. So we were talking about websites and taking a look at some environmental factors. The White House, for example, has some executive orders about language that's safe to use, for example. And
Okay.
so this client wanted to basically do a deep dive scan of their client's website to see if there was any language on the website that could threaten their federal funding. And
Oh, okay.
so we used AI to um, experiment to see if it was possible to build a custom GPT that would review every public web page of a website, go down their sitemap, and look for specific language. And right out
Yeah.
of the box, we were able to get a pretty decent result. Obviously, urge them to double check all the results and be accountable to it. But something like that in the past would take dozens of hours, but we were able to get 80% of the way there within about 5 minutes.
That's that's crazy. That's crazy, the the skill to be able to do that and that tool, and also that's crazy that that is something that needs to be done, and there's a tool for it. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Okay. I think we've got another question here. Can you talk a little bit about the energy intensity of using AI? Well, I just lost that. I know some businesses pride themselves on their small footprint. Curious how AI could and should be factored in.
Yeah, I'm not sure I quite. Uh, Let me answer that the
How
best
much
I can.
energy probably it takes using AI? I mean, you know,
Yeah, it's
electricity, power, yeah.
oh yeah, well, um, it takes a bit of bandwidth. I mean, we're
Okay. Yep,
talking
yep,
about
yep.
stuff that is not you couldn't really use Chat GPT up on dial-up internet. Like you have to have decent, Wi-Fi bandwidth. But as far as like human energy, it seems like it's actually a time saver. And so if you're
Okay.
writing a social media campaign, it could take a lot of energy in terms of your attention and a few different drafts to get there. But with AI, it really cuts down. It's a lot more efficient in repetitive tasks, if that's where the question is going.
Probably more so the real energy, but yeah, I would say both. We had a question about, can you throw that QR code up about the 17th um, conference?
Oh yeah.
We can do that.
I can put it in the chat too.
That would be perfect. Let's see. Is there something, do you know, is there something like the AI conference happening closer to the Twin Cities? Does anybody know that? I don't happen to know that off the top of my head.
I know that there's AI conferences and AI events, meetups, webinars, workshops all over the place. I don't have my finger on the pulse of every one of them, but keep your eye out for them and try out different ones too, because you can find different speakers or presenters have totally different approaches with this. So you can learn a lot from watching different people use AI.
Yep. Let's see. I think we'll just circle back a little bit about the energy. Couple comments. I think they mean more environmental impacts, and then about the carbon footprint of AI. It's incredibly energy intensive and water intensive. Probably just about the supercomputers, about about doing that. I mean, if you want to liken it
Yeah.
to crypto mining, I mean, it's just super energy intensive with the supercomputers. Yeah.
Yeah, I really can't speak to that.
Yep.
It's a really important consideration, and
Yep.
my approach to a lot of these questions is cat's out of the bag, not my cat, not my bag. We're just here. I wish I could make it energy and
Sure.
environmentally safe,
Yep.
but a lot of this stuff is way beyond my control. I don't know much about that side of things though.
Yeah, I mean, I personally live in Dakota County. There's going to be another, I think, a Google data center. No, it's Facebook. So there's just some discussion about having those big data centers, being built here, and some dislike for those. We'll move on from that. Could you please explain more about temporary chats versus core chats in Chat GPT?
Yeah, totally. So within when you first start using any of these platforms, they're going to prompt you to log in. And so what that does is it creates a profile for you, whether it's free or paid, and your profile is going to start building a memory of you. And it's going to use its best judgment to figure out what those important things are. And every once in a while in your chat, you'll see a little thing that says memory updated. And so it's going to selectively add to its memory bank of like who you are. So it'll remember things like maybe what job you have or what things that you repetitively talk about because it thinks those are important to you. And if you tell it to remember something, it'll also remember that. The more you use it, your memory will eventually fill up and it'll say it cannot store more memory. So you can go in and kind of clean up the memory a little bit.
Hmm.
But it's basically going to create a profile of you, just like, much like our social medias do when it understands what types of things you interact with or what types of things you like or follow. So it has a profile of you. AI is going to do the same thing that really helps curate the results to make it more individual to you. As I mentioned before, two different people could ask AI the same question and it might give you different answers based on who it believes you are, your priorities, your values, things like that. Then within each chat itself, maybe you've got one chat that you're working on a project for marketing, and then you've got another chat that you're working on asking it about different types of prompts, right? And so each chat has its own memory to basically help it stay on the same page with you in conversation. Um, and so then you can have things like follow-up prompts, and it doesn't get lost and go off into left field. It'll stay on the same page with you within each conversation. You can change the topic too, but the more you talk about that certain thing, each of its responses to you will just be that much more intuitive, just like a human would.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And Harry, I am coming to you. I know that your hand was up. Let me just grab your question here. Harry's question is about he produce podcasts for business owners. Curious if I can use AI to research marketing ideas to help my clients to grow their show. Also raised hand. So yeah.
That's a great question. Yeah, I work with a lot of people that do podcasts, and they have a variety of different AI applications that have like a whole tech stack. And
Hmm,
so they're using
okay.
AI to do competitive market research to see what other podcasts are in the same space and what is their niche or what is their marketing strategies. People are using AI to get transcripts from their videos and summarizing those
Oh,
transcripts down
yeah.
into key takeaways. People are uploading videos to AI platforms so they can trim the videos by the script. And so instead of looking at the video itself, you can look at the script and then trim the words that are, that you want to trim, and it'll trim the whole video. And then from there, people will take the video and build marketing campaigns to really promote the video to convert their audience to follow them on social or to subscribe to their newsletter. So um, one of my consultants has podcasts, and he has like 5 different AI tools that he uses in this entire workflow to get from pre-production all the way to
Yeah.
content creation.
That is awesome. I don't know. Maybe there's more than a couple 100,000 podcasts out there. I've heard a number. I listen to iHeart quite a bit, and they keep touting their free app, which is fine. They have just themselves 250,000 podcasts. So yeah, it's whatever you want to listen to. There is a niche market for that. All right, moving on. What's your recommendation for building custom GPTs for customer service bots? I find I'm comfortable asking AI basic questions I wouldn't want to bother a human with, but I've learned so much by asking about basics. I want to give my customers the same opportunity.
That's a great question. So I have personal experience with this one. Um, a little over 3 years ago, I was managing an e-commerce company, and maybe it's closer to 4 years. Time flies. Anyways, we paid a Canadian company to build us a chat bot. We still had to tell them all of our frequently asked questions that our customers ask us, and we still had to tell them our answers to those questions. So we had to do all the work. We gave it to them, and their chatbot was almost as harmful as it was helpful. It was bad. It was terrible. Um, Fast forward to today, I have a $20 paid ChatGPT account, $20 a month. You can create your own custom chatbots. You can share those chatbots. I don't think ChatGPT enables you to embed those, but other platforms do. So you can embed them right on your website, and you can literally make your own customer service chatbot today in 5 minutes by just telling it what your frequently asked questions are, what your answers to those questions are. You can even link it to your website, so it'll find the answers on your website if it's applicable. And so the technology that we have today, I wouldn't recommend using the free versions for stuff like this, but just the $20 a month versions makes this stuff so much easier and faster than it's ever been.
Okay, that is, to me, that is a solid example of what AI can do for you. It's like basically that is what you're trying to do for people. I don't need to hire somebody to do the same thing. Yep. Another question here, can you go over certain laws with AI tools and how to protect our businesses, data protection, etc.? Maybe give a scenario you have experienced.
Yeah, so other countries have much more AI regulation than we have here in the Americas. And so here we're fairly unrestricted for the most part, whereas in other countries you just don't have access to some of the tools that we have. And so I'm not 100% up to speed on everything, but here at the SBDC, what I am aware of is um, I'm trying to look it up what it's called. We have a variety of different regulations that we have to abide by, and some of them are federal, some of them are state. Um, Trying to find here the rule of thumb. Okay, here we go. So the rule of thumb one that I look at is
Hmm.
it's called FedRAMP, and so this applies to all cloud services that deal with any federal or client service, client data. It's almost like HIPAA, right? And so it's protecting data. And FedRAMP is a is a list of all approved tools. And so some of the versions like ChatGPTs or Claudes or Perplexities, some of these, especially the paid ones, are okay to use for some of these things, but almost certainly the free versions are not. The free versions are almost always going to use your data for learning models, which means that it might not verbatim like share everything of yours to somebody else, but let's just say it's out there in the universe somewhere. Whereas if you're using those paid versions, they really beef up security and privacy. And FedRAMP is probably the biggest kind of gold standard stamp of approval when it comes to managing any federal or client data.
Gotcha. I'm
Hopefully that
just
answers the question.
Yeah, what I was doing
Yeah.
while you were speaking to is we have a
I'm just
publication.
listening on a webinar thing, so that's fine.
Yep. We have a publication, a legal guide to privacy and data security. I just threw that in the chat that we have. All right, what else do we have here? The laws. We have another comment here. We have a link someone threw in for the SBA's page on AI. And if other people have some more questions or comments, please throw those in. Get back to where we are. Are there other questions for Ian?
Well, if you guys do have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here today and share some of the knowledge that I have. And just remember, AI is an individual journey, so no FOMO, no fear of missing out. If you're taking your time, if you're going slow, that's perfectly okay. If you're not ready for it, that's okay too. And if you are interested in more assistance, please do feel free to reach out to SBDC.
Oh, that's great. We just had one question kind of slide in here. I think a preference for AI platforms. And of course, I can't work a slider bar, so I think it was just a preference on what's your preference for AI platforms? Was it Chat GPT?
Yeah, that's the one that I've chosen to pay for, just because, I'm not going to pay for them all. But that's the
What?
one that seems to be the most disruptive and dynamic. You can change between different models. You can keep your information pretty locked down, and they are pretty good when it comes to the security and privacy aspects too. So I use ChatGPT, but I encourage people to try different ones. And if you know what you're using it for, ask your AI, what's the best tool for doing fill in the blank.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Ian. We really appreciate that. All right, so we can move on if people have some other questions about what's going on in their business, little things called tariffs, whatever's going on, throw it in the chat. You want to raise your hand, you want to ask some other questions of other business owners. We are wide open at this point. I'm just going to take just a second here. We had a business reach out to us, or an organization, and I'm going to share my screen in just a second. They have an event coming up, so I'm just going to take a step back and just pull that up. So if other people want to add some things, please go ahead. That. So on my screen, I am sharing an announcement from the group called ARC. They're having an event on the 29th. Small business owners with disabilities, they wanted to get the word out that they're doing this panel event. So if people want to check in on that, there's their information right there. And let's see if I can throw a spotlight on me, which I always love to do that. So does anyone have any other discussion topics or questions they'd like to answer? The chamber, D, the SBDCs, anybody else? All right, I think I'll stop sharing that. There is that. All right, as the auctioneers love to say, going once, going twice, going three times. We are, we do have some comments coming in here. Do we know if the state is working on any potential regulations? Let me just go here. For AI, I don't have an answer. Does anyone in this large group have any ideas or information on that? AI regulations. I would say information to be coming. I don't see anybody that has any information on that. Certainly in the Small Business Assistance Office, we'll keep an eye open for that. Anyone else? If not, we're at 2:43
I have a
and
question for you.
sure, please go ahead.
So with everything that's going on with tariffs and whatnot, do you think it's really a good idea to start a business right now if you're going to be moving products?
I think in general, it really depends on what you're going to be selling, what you're going to be doing for business. Tariffs are kind of a moving target. You have tariffs being in place, you have tariffs being on hold, you have a lot of agreements. I think it really depends on what you're going to do. I mean, certainly give us a call. We can speak to you about that. You can certainly contact a local SBDC, a local SCORE office, and really kind of sit down and discuss what you think that you're going to be trying to do for business. Certainly, people with other opinions, certainly please please chime in. All right, if there's no other topics, then thanks for joining us, everybody. We will be back here in a month, second Tuesday of the month. So thanks to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Bye.